guys, it's Mallory, and today on Cooking with Coco, I want to share a recipe with you that's perfect for a weeknight. It's super cheap, super simple. Today, we're going to make pizza boats. So come on over and I'll show you the ingredients. Alright, so for our ingredients, it's few and simple. We're going to need a good sturdy loaf of bread. This is just an Italian loaf. You're also going to need some fresh basil. I've also taken some of this fresh basil and just chopped it up, and we're going to use this as a garnish. You're also going to need a good bit of fresh mozzarella, a tomato just cut into big chunks. This is an heirloom tomato, but you can certainly use whatever kind of tomatoes are available to you. Some olive oil. This is just a seasoning blend of oregano, salt and pepper, and some Italian seasoning. A little bit of minced garlic. Some provolone, about a half a cup because this stuff can be kind of strong. And some tomato paste. You're also going to need a little bit of sugar, and we'll get into that in a second. Alright, so you're going to need a good flat baking sheet. Excuse this one, it's just used, it's not dirty. And you're going to take your tomatoes, just make sure they're in really big chunks, and plop them right onto the pan. Then, you're going to take some sugar, not a whole lot, just a few handfuls, and sprinkle it onto the top of your tomatoes. Now I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. And what I'm going to do is just toss my tomatoes in the sugar. And then take a wee bit of olive oil and just drizzle that on top. And what I'm going to do before we make anything is roast my tomatoes in the oven. And what the sugar is going to do is caramelize the tomatoes and make them really, really sweet. And that's what you want when you're cooking a pizza. So I'm going to get these into the oven, and I'll meet you back in the kitchen in about 15 to 20 minutes. Alright guys, so what I've done here is taken half of my roasted tomatoes and I put them into a saucepan. Now along with that, I'm going to take a little bit of tomato paste. You probably won't need the whole thing because this stuff is super duper sweet, but we're going to use a good bit. Then, we're going to take a little bit of water and add that along with it. Also, some of our seasoning blend. But we're going to save a little bit of the seasoning blend for the olive oil drizzle. A little bit of garlic. Yes, with the same spoon. And what we're going to do is take this whole thing of basil, and we're just going to put it in there. And what's going to happen there is the whole thing of basil is just going to infuse in the sauce, and we'll just fish it out because we want a really pretty red sauce. So what I'm going to do is just take my spoon and work this sauce, and it should come up in a few minutes. Alright, my sauce looks perfect. It's been simmering for about 5 minutes. I went ahead and added a little bit more water, but you really just need a splash just to soften and loosen things up. So I'm going to take this basil and just fish it out. And yes, it's going to make a mess, but that's okay. And look at that sauce. So what we're going to do next is take our sauce and take a little paintbrush or a spoon or whatever you like. And I've just cut my bread in half and hollowed out the center. So what we're going to do is just carefully, very carefully, spoon this out onto the bread. And this is going to be like our pizza base. So then you come and just take it and smooth it over. It's okay if it makes a mess. We like a mess. It's okay. And now we're ready to top it. Alright, so I've got the other half of my roasted tomatoes, and I'm just going to gingerly put those onto our pizza bread. And what I've got here is a little bit of cooked bacon that I've just crumbled. You can use pepperoni, prosciutto, anything you have. I'm just using bacon because that's what we had. So we're going to go ahead, top the bacon onto our tomatoes and our tomato sauce. And now we can get some cheese on there. So what I've got here is a little bit, well, not a little bit, it's really a lot, but it's okay, of shredded mozzarella. So we're going to go ahead with the shredded mozzarella and put that on top of the bacon and on top of our tomatoes. And it might make a mess, but it's okay. all the cheese. You can put as little or as much as you want. I don't understand why you would want a little bit of cheese. I want a lot. Okay. And then we're going to come in with a little bit of our provolone. I only did a little bit because, you know, it's really strong. You don't have to put the whole thing. I'm going to top that, whoops, with our provolone. And then, lastly, we're going to put our basil, which is just our fresh basil that's been chopped up. And I'm just going to put that right over the cheese. Isn't that gorgeous? And it's making a mess, but it's okay. All right. Then you're going to take your top and just fold it like a sandwich. All right, so what I've done now is just lined a baking sheet with some aluminum foil, and I've placed my bread on top of that. So what we're gonna do next is make a flavored oil to go on top, and what's gonna happen when that bakes, it's gonna soak it up and it's just gonna be great. So what I've done is I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees, so let's get started with our oil. So we haven't used all of our dry seasoning, and we haven't used all of our fresh basil, and we still have a little bit of garlic left. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put that in the rest of our olive oil and just mix it all up to make our flavored oil. So that's why it's important to kind of save a little bit as you go. And then what you're going to do with that is take it and stir it and then drizzle it and brush it all over your pizza bread. And it's going to smell so good in here once this thing gets baking. So we're going to keep on going and zhuzh it on top. So now that we've oiled our bread and everything's ready to go, we're going to wrap this up in some tin foil. And what that's going to allow to happen is everything to cook really nicely and the juices won't leak everywhere. And I've also put it in a baking sheet that way, just in case no juices get in your oven. So I'm going to put this into my preheated oven and I'll meet you back in the kitchen in about 15 to 20 minutes. My bread was in the oven for exactly 15 minutes, and if you know me, you know that I have no patience when it comes to food, so I've already cut up into this. So we're going to go ahead and give it a bite and see how it goes. This is my favorite piece right here, the very end. That's so good. Okay, so go ahead, check out my website, www.cookingwithcoco.net. Follow me on Instagram @cookingwithcoco, and I'll see you guys next time.